Hey guys, it's Rob again. I wanted to do another video regarding The Dirt. I know everybody already did the reviews of The Dirt like a month ago, and so did I, so please go check that out. And I appreciate everybody that's given me a lot of feedback on that video. That was really fun to do, and I think I'm going to keep doing these sort of meta personal criticisms of films that involve rock music or rock music adjacent or even other forms of music. I think that's something I'm going to get into on this channel going forward, but it's pretty time consuming and I got a lot going on. So just be patient with me. But I did want to put out another video. So what I decided to do for this one is I decided that we should all just watch a soundtrack. And what I'm going to be doing going forward is for every video or movie that I review, I'm going to be actually watching the soundtrack along with you guys and putting a video out there. So that's what I'm doing here. Is I created a playlist for The Dirt, and it's a mixture of official videos from the band and then videos that are uploaded of like live footage and a few where there's nothing uploaded and it's just, an icon, and we're going to listen along. Now, I know this might be a little inaccessible, especially if you're listening on a phone, because it's kind of hard to do double screens on a phone if it only allows one audio. So maybe to get the full effect of this, you might want to watch on a computer, because it's gonna be a YouTube playlist. And I know some people on YouTube have a lot of ads going on, so it might not be synced up perfectly, but we'll try to sync up as best we can together. And I'll try to provide some visual aids along the way. Of course, I can't put the full video in there because then the YouTube police will come and get us. But I think this is going to be fun. And if you like this, give me some feedback. Sound off in the comment section. Or, of course, hit me up on Twitter. Rob M. Vallejos. ROBMVALLEJOS. All right, let's get started with the Dirt soundtrack. Let's see what the first song we got coming up here is. Oh, The Dirt, established 1981 with Machine Gun Kelly. I've only actually seen this video once, and it was very quick, so I actually don't remember it, even though this is kind of the signature for the band in this movie. Such ominous Motley Crue looking letters. Machine Gun Kelly. I can't get away from Machine Gun Kelly. I have no idea about its original music, but this guy is involved in like every piece of art that I follow. Hmm. Lots of shots of Tommy here. You don't really see Mick very much. I gotta turn this down. I can't hear myself talk. There we go. Just give me the dirt. What a concept. Really just them recording, huh? I was saying that about Machine Gun Kelly, but he does a pretty good Tommy in this film. And he gives his all for sure. It's a pretty good trailer for the film, I guess. Do they still make videos like this that are like derivative of the film? I remember back in the day that used to be a big thing, and sometimes like the music video would be better than the movie. I think Aerosmith's "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing" was pretty cool when they put that in Armageddon, and they have Liv Tyler, but instead of Bruce Willis dying, it's Steven Tyler dying. She's got her hands on the thing. I thought that was pretty cool. Cool. I guess I can dig the mashup of the other Motley videos. Man, I heard so much negative feedback about this movie before it came out. I've been surprised with not the critical acclaim of the movie because it hasn't been there, but people I talk to, just people who know me as like, oh yeah, you're the Motley Crue guy. Do you love the movie? Because other people really love this. I think you just kind of had to not be so involved with the band to really enjoy it. Hmm. I think Machine Gun Kelly could have like been a singer in the Generation Swine era with that kind of sound. He could have like replaced Karabi before the label made Neil come back into the fold. This guy that played Mick Mars was pretty awesome too. I don't think he looked like Mick in any way, but he had his own pretty cool vibe. just funny because like there's a whole generation of people, myself included, who only know Richie Valens as Lou Diamond Phillips or Selena as Jennifer Lopez. There's gonna be a whole generation of people that only know the Motley guys based on these actors. Like that's they're gonna think that's what they look like. And that was The Dirt. Fun little song, but I don't care for it too much. Red Hot from 1984 in Quebec. And Mick Mars kind of has like a Blackie Lawless thing going for him right here. Such an underrated song, man. How out of their mind do you think these guys were right here in 1984? Like, how much coke was pulsating through their veins at this point? His footage is pretty grainy, but it sounds pretty good. Oh, nice like karate kick there from Nikki. What do you guys think about the Tumblr? I don't know her address. Find her on Facebook if you're local. Very cool. Custom done. This is not a paid promotion. Yeah, Vince has got some energy in the vocals on this one. How did this song not become a hit? Like, I mean, the hits off of Shadow of the Devil are pretty good, but I mean, this is as good as anything else on that record. If I remember correctly, too, like Vince really couldn't play this for a long time. They brought it back in '05 on the Carnival of Sins tour, and they hadn't played it in a really long time. Like the echo with a ha ha. And Nicky always found a way to headbang at parts that really aren't headbanging parts of their songs. Another karate kick. I love the big gong that Tommy has behind his head on the drum kit. That always looks so cool. It makes a cool sound when they use it. I freak out for a band that had so many of their good performances in the '80s. How much that stuff's available online. On with the show. Whoever made this video and posted it to YouTube, the algorithm absolutely loves. This video gets suggested to me like every time I'm on YouTube, and it's a great version of the song and a great performance. But wow, this was a fun tour. This is when I saw him live for the first time. It wasn't I think this was Red, White, and Crew, and I saw him on Carnival of Sins, but it was the same basic show. They just called it something different. Yeah, I like the film too. How they kind of went word for word on the book of how Nikki claims to have written the song. I don't know if that's true, but it's a cool story. I'm glad they put that in the film. I remember when going to this tour and had to like justify that purchase, and it was like because like Mick Mars isn't gonna live past this tour. The dude's still alive, 12, 13 years later. That was real smart on my behalf. Love this punk rock part. Want to hear a good cover of this? Go check out the Ataris. They're kind of a big punk band, pop punk band, late '90s, early 2000s. Blew up with their Boys of Summer cover, but they actually have a cover of On with the Show that sounds pretty awesome. Might have been the first place I ever actually heard the song before I had purchased Too Fast for Love. Nice gurgle of some Coors Light there for Vince Neil. Think he puts anything in that Coors Light just to make it a little more potent. I mean, he is Vince Neil. Switch up to the 12 string there for the Micker. I think Vince only had that jacket for this tour. Like that's the only piece of clothing he owned on this tour. So I know Nicky now he always says Kiss plagiarized off of him, but especially Tommy here, he totally looks Kiss derivative during this show and on this tour. Mr. Hansy. Always loved Vince's method of just like, you sing it, and I don't have to. All right, what's next? What's next? That tent was awesome they had on that tour. Ooh, Livewire. Finally, an official video here. There's the gong. Nice red leather there for Vince. I really like the way they mixed this song in the film, and it almost sounded like a different song, even though it was clearly Livewire. I wouldn't mind hearing them or hearing another band kind of try to stay real true to it, but re-record it with modern technology, modern mixing, just to hear what it would sound like. Because I think it's a pretty powerful song that could use a little bit of that. A lot of this early stuff, and I'm not an audiophile at all, though. It kind of sounds like all the instruments are melded together just a little too much, and I think this song would benefit from just some different mixing and mastering. Like, hey, does that man? People have a lot of problems with how Vince sings live for like the last 20 years, but God, he could put on. He was a good front man. He had that whole like they were showing in the film, that whole David Lee Roth kind of vibe to him, really down well. Such a cool little bridge interlude here. Oh, there it is. Now Nikki's on fire. And now he's not on fire. Like he's just hitting the bass. He's not actually playing, he's just hitting it. Mick with some blood in his mouth. Either he bit his tongue or he's eating some flesh. What do we got next? What's on tap? Ooh, merry-go-round at the US Festival from '83. There were a few times in the film where I think the implication was that this was that show. I think the one where Vince is messing around with the manager's girlfriend. I think that was the implication, that was supposed to be this show, which I think would have been cooler than like the arena show that they put out there. Watch this full show. It's not very good. Like the people there are definitely into Motley Crue, but they're probably really wasted. But man, they really did not perform well at this. And Vince in particular had a bad night. It's mixed, really weird, but definitely something you want to check out. Another cool song, kind of underrated, one that you only know if you hit the album. There's so many, like, no pun intended, fast songs on Too Fast for Love. It's a nice change of pace, I think. It's a cool footage. I don't know if it's this year of the Ozfest of Black Sabbath playing there, which I always enjoy. But Ozzy looks like I don't know, looks different. I guess there's something special about these unmixed, unmastered live performances with the sound straight from the board because you hear all the little mistakes. I mean, and what I wouldn't do any better, but I like that live feel. I know that's why people have issues, like again with Kiss, using so many tracks. But I guess at least their show always sounds good. Which, by the way, anybody, Facebook, Twitter friends in the area, want to go to Kiss in September? I can't find a Kiss friend. Oh, Kiss sucks. Their songs aren't even good. They're all makeup. Yeah, but you want to see them live. A lot of bands suck. Anyway. Vince is smart. He wears leather that only consists of straps, so he just doesn't die from the heat like the other guys. Is it windy or is there a fan that like keeps blowing Vince's hair so he can have that flowing mane? Let's see. Ooh, Take Me to the Top. Wow, this is really old. Another great song from that album. Okay, well, Too Fast for Love is an awesome album, but this one in the film I thought really stood out. You know, when they do that first live show and the hype behind it, kind of the essence, I would say, of the early thesis of Motley Crue of combining the new wave and bits of the punk rock and some of the heavy metal stuff into their music. Man, Mick Mars's hair is between like Rock God and 1980s soccer mom there. What's up with the handkerchief that Vince is wearing? Is it like worried he's going to spill his food and he has to wipe himself? That's the sheet, right? That they like made in the Motley house. Can you imagine the things that that sheet saw in that house? If that sheet could talk. This is like somewhere between London Nicky and Motley Nicky. This is like his in between phase. There's a lot of Motley haters out there, and I get it, and I understand a lot of it. I hate a lot of bands too myself. I'm a hater that people would consider me, but yeah, I wish sometimes those who just think Molly is girls, 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 and Doctor Feelgood would hear some of this stuff because they sound like a totally different band. It's I wouldn't say they went just completely commercial, but they had a totally different sound. Like a lot of bands, I think they were more just an amalgamation of their influences before they kind of created their own sound. That's definitely on display here. Vince can hold that note forever at that time. Mick's a good guitarist, but I don't. And I know like he doesn't fit in Motley Crue, but I'm not sure he would fit in another rock band either. Like what other rock band are you gonna have this like dedicated blues player that's grumpy all the time that has to incorporate these solos but still goes along with it? I think he's a big part of that secret sauce that made this band go. Nice use of the smoke machine there. Really disappointed Nicky hasn't lit himself on fire yet though. Let's see what we got coming up. Oh, this is Crude, Lewd, and Tattooed. I guess we'll get some Samantha Maloney, won't we? Oh, there she is. Oh, she's got the flowing hair. It's so weird that they made a DVD without Tommy in it. Samantha Maloney, the infamous one. Hole, very underrated band. Don't at me. I feel so bad for Randy Castillo, for his family, everything that went down. What a sad story. And I read a local article recently that I think his family has fallen on hard times, which is a real bummer. He's got a documentary though on Amazon that I really need to check out. Maybe I'll review it for this channel to be part of the Motley series. What just so sad. Whenever I seen him, they did Home Sweet Home. They dedicated it to him in Albuquerque. It was pretty awesome. I remember this story from Vince. This was an awesome DVD. I know this era, it's kind of weird, 2000 Motley Crue, but this DVD is mixed very well. They sound great. In general, if you watch a lot of their performances from like Generation Swine to the end of this tour, the Greatest Hits tour and all that in between, that might have been the best they had really ever sounded. Like Vince could still sing and seem to still remember the words of the songs that they were playing at that time. I really like checking out footage from that era. Yeah, Nikki really should have given the speech. I like the Motley Crue basketball jersey that Nikki's rocking there. I mean, it's very like early 2000s new metal fashioned, but I wouldn't mind having one. They put it on the wall. It's so weird too. Like pre reunion, they played on a lot of these smaller venues. Like when they were, I know they were a nostalgia act in the reunion time, but they were part of that hair metal revival that was going so big. They were in just some regular buildings in this time period, which is pretty wild to think about. It's dawning on me now as we're watching, going through the soundtrack. The film is like deep cuts from Shout and Too Fast for Love, and then hits. Like there's no deep cuts from Girls or Feel Good or anything like that. On there's no dancing on glass in the film, and they completely bury Theater Pain, which I'm okay with. Even if there's some okay songs, no, there's really not. Louder Than Hell's pretty cool, but that should have been on Shout Out the Devil. That sounds more like that era. This sounds good, but it doesn't have the power of the early '80s renditions of this song. I like how the stage is supposed to be a strip club, a tattoo shop, and like a lingerie shop on the other side. I love Motley, but thank God they came along to the 1980s. Like they would have never got off the ground today. Nice synchronizing there, Mick. Why did Vince need to change his shirt? Wait, was this film on two nights? No, I don't think it was. I think Vince just changed. This shirt, for the record, does look much more comfy. I watched this DVD so many times, but I recall nothing from this. I guess because it was 17 years ago. The Moscow Peace Festival, 89. Is this the one that they have all the contentions with Doc McGee over? And Bon Jovi and who got to light off a firework and doing these shows to pay for Doc McGee's legal troubles and drug habits and good stuff. Read the dirt. These Moscow Peace Festivals are really surreal. Like a lot, a lot of different bands did them. The iconic one I think is the one with Metallica, where they're just the sea of people goes on forever. A lot of people have seen Harvester of Sorrow, but definitely watch that whole thing. It's on YouTube. And I think is it 91, the Pantera one. Pantera just sounds awesome in it, and it looks awesome. It looks like the funnest time ever, even if the guys kind of don't really know what's going on in the audience. If this is the one I'm thinking, I think like the guys were miserable playing this. And I think even like some of the tour managers and stuff that are interviewed in the book said like this was the most uninspiring shows that he had played with 15 years of watching the band. Oh, in my dirt review, before any of you guys get at me, I totally said how the movie didn't mention any of Motley's connection to the occult, and then I rewatched the movie a week later, and there's a whole little scene with the news report on people protesting their shows. So, good thing the views aren't too high, or else I'd be bombarded with hate mail and corrections over that. According to the behind the music, which is inaccurate in its timeline a lot, this was like the first shows they ever played sober, but I don't think that actually lines up, and they didn't really all stay sober. So, but like, remember the behind the music frames it as like, they had to go up in this tube with these rock stars like Ozzy and the Scorpions, and they had to be sober, and it was a trial by fire, and it's all this uplifting stuff, and then you read about it in the book, and it was just like a miserable time for the guys. You ever talk to anybody that saw him on the Dr. Feelgood tour? They will say like, yeah, they were good, but man, they were worn out by the end. And you read about that too. Had like it's one of those albums that wouldn't die. Feels like that late '80s, early '90s period, whether Appetite for Destruction, the Black Album, even Nevermind. If you had a big album, like you just had to tour on that album forever, and it really seems like it wore these bands out where they couldn't do like the normal cycle of put out an album, tour for a year, and go do a new album. They just had to keep going and going and going on that same album. This isn't a bad performance, but it's not anything special. The Carnival of Sins DVD performance of Shout I think is really good. I like Shout '97. You know the sort of the new metal take on Shout at the Devil, but I know a lot of people hate that. But the Grammy version. Vince is like, yeah, a year and a half, I'm totally gonna quit this band to drive NASCAR. Official video looks the kill. I liked the recreation of this in the film. I know there was a lot going on in that scene with Doc McGee and Tommy's parents and his fiance. It's a fun little scene, but I really like the recreation of this. It's so iconic, I think, with them in this gear and all the imagery here. Yeah, Nicky's always with his faces in. They only have one mic. So correct me, guitar geeks. The old BC Riches that Mick and Nicky are playing in this one. The coolest looking bass ever, but everyone says it just sounds like crap. Nah, the Thunderbirds are better. I wonder how they casted these women. Like, what was they didn't have Craigslist back then, so I don't know what would have been on the ad. Maybe in the recycler or something. More flowing haired Vince. Oh, and a tumbleweed. I know everyone joked that Molly Crew looked like women, but that girl, if she was in the band, I don't think anybody would question that she was. Like if you replaced Mick Mars in this era with her, I don't think anybody would notice. I like how she shoots the pentagram off of it. I've watched this video a million times and never actually paid attention to like the narrative going on here. This is so awesomely 80s. Oh, they're in Zordon's lair. More faces. Like Mick. Yeah, see that this really is just a Power Rangers parody. 10 years ahead of its time. The flaming pentagram. Too young to fall in love. I love the idea of like 60-year-old Vince Neil singing that he's too young to fall in love. What is the lady doing to Mick over there? I don't know what would happen this kind of open air Asian market here if these like four weird looking Americans just came out singing in this Rat Pack way that Vince was doing there. I recently went down a rabbit hole of like the, the religious right versus heavy metal, and this song gets brought up a lot in their case. And I never really thought about the lyrics, but I guess they were kind of right in some of the symbolism and the imagery here. That's a fun rabbit hole to go down, especially if you were like me and ever went to religious school when you were a kid. You saw some of those videos in some of your classes. I don't remember the actual sound effects. Nice kick. Yeah. Pow. Bam. So from the last one, we were in the Power Rangers. We're totally like in the Ninja Turtles Part 3 right now. I have no idea what that movie's about. She bears the mark. Doesn't Tommy do something here? Ah, yes. What was the point of that? All right, all right. What do we got coming up? Home Sweet Home original video, not the much better 1991 re-recording. That dude's awesome, making his ears move. I'm pretty sure that's where Mick lives. Why would Nicky be in a jazz club? I'm on my way. Very cool intro. Timeless. Another one that live that I think Mick just says, you know the words, and the whole crowd sings it, and he doesn't have to. What are the chances Vince actually did that? this video became the set piece for parody, right? If you were gonna parody Motley, like was it Bowling for Soup with the 1985 where they mentioned Motley, but I think when they're dressed as Motley, this is like the era they chose to dress like. And then in the was it Hot Tub Time Machine, this was kind of the era that they chose to parody. How common were the ballads by the time this song came out? Like, were people really, really mad and couldn't believe that Molly had come out with a song like this? Like, was it a betrayal for some? Nikki's polka dot outfit, I always thought was interesting. This doesn't fit him. His whole vibe from this video, I've never thought fit like dark, brooding Nikki wearing that weird tablecloth. I always thought that was weird. Swinging the bass is cool. I do like that guitar with the Home Sweet Home faces on it, or excuse me, the Theater of Pain faces. Do not have it tattooed, Entertainment or Death, like Doc McGee apparently does. I never noticed a crutch in the air. Yeah, I like the 91 version a lot better. Yeah, the video too is so much cooler with older guys doing like their hobbies. Okay. Any guesses what's coming up? Of course. Now, I'm hoping for YouTube and censoring purposes, I picked the clean version of the song about the strippers. That poor dude, man. Like, what did he ever do to? Why did that trucker have to be kicked out by Motley Crue to get that table? I love that they named the record after this song. I've never reached. Are these actual strip clubs? Like, is there really a dollhouse in Fort Lauderdale? If so, like, this is like the earliest version of product placement in music. They should get like 10 cents every time the song gets played on the radio. Is this where Tommy's gonna shine that dude's head? That sounded weird. This thing really was a lyrical masterpiece. Oh no, here's the bald guy that that Tommy gets excited with his hands. Yeah, there it is. Finally, the payoff. This was mainstream rock at one point. What Vince were? I love this band. This is just cheesy as can be. Maybe their most iconic song, one or two. You know, it's up there. Or how many it takes Mick to keep that cigarette on if she's playing. I wonder if the story is true that the reason why it sounds like that at the end is because Big actually fell out of the chair because he was so drunk. I don't know if that's true, but it's a cool story. I think we're in official video lane right now still. All right, this is a great video. The song, could take it or leave it, but this video is awesome. And they parodied it pretty good, I think, in the movie. The rock and roll fans. Theoretically sober Motley Crue. I think they said this was Wayne Isham, legendary live performance and music video director who shot this thing and directed it and edited it, and he just did an amazing job. Kind of captured, I think, the chaos well of everything going on. What a weird hat that Nicky wears when he's spinning around. This isn't their most recognizable song, but I think it's the song most likely if you're in like mixed company with non-rock or metal fans and it was on the radio that they would never guess, you know, it's Motley Crue or it's, you know, a rock or a metal band. This is just kind of an 80s song where people are just singing along same old situation. Better edit that out. That was really bad. More crutches. They're having a good time. I think they said that they shot this in Denver. It's one of those though. When I talk to some old school guys, they all claim that they're in this video, but I think it was only shot at that one show. So unless they all went to that show in Denver, I think some people are lying. The live shots of the band though, I think was shot at a few different locations because looks like they're in different clothes every now and then, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just seeing things. In the film, is this when all the tour dates kind of ran up the screen? Drum kit that goes out into the crowd. Very cool. Did Tommy ever get the roller coaster drum kit? I don't remember that. I think maybe on one of the last tours, or the farewell or something. But I think it's a little more basic than he envisioned it. It's not like a full roller coaster, which would be pretty cool. How did that like beach volleyball or beach ball camera not like get shattered? Like, how did somebody just not grab it and throw it on the ground and ruin the whole thing? That camera's cool. The way it's on that rigging, it just goes out. But I want to ride on it. I just want to swing on it. I think that'd be pretty fun. Do we get same old not same old situation? Do we get don't go away mad in this thing? I don't think so. Hmm. Always associate the two. You probably can't hear it, but this dialogue they have is so corny. Back home, sweet home. Down at the whiskey. Great song. Great song. I don't care what era of music you like or what style of rock music you like. This is a great song. Another one that I think when you hear it in more modern context actually sounds better than it did back when it came out on Dr. Feelgood. So they recorded this in the Whiskey A Go Go, club they played on, a very famous club they played, coming up. And supposedly, according to Nikki and Tommy, like they had their full equipment, like all their amps, all their full PA, everything they would for an arena show that they put inside this moderately sized bar, and that it was like super loud. I don't know why they did that. Like that's completely unnecessary. Like it's not like you could hear that, weird ambience in the video. It's just the song from the album tracked into these photos. This song would have come out 5 years later. Like the X Games would have used it as their theme song, and that would be what this video is, wouldn't it? It would have been this instead of a Goofy movie too. I look at the concept that they're trying to convey here. This video is kind of dumb. Like, there's no like the live performance of them isn't very cool. It's just stock footage. I guess this part's pretty awesome. Their history and one little interlude. Nikki on fire. I guess there's is that the first crowd shot? They're supposedly their eardrums were exploding. Yeah, I'm bored by this, and I don't know why. I love this song, but this video just doesn't. I guess I never really watched it that closely. Raise your hand if you owned the DVD of the Ultimate Motley Crue video collection, which had all these on. It's pretty awesome. You used to love that thing. Still have the DVD, but it's all scratched up. But it had that special feature, which is also on YouTube. Somebody else put up of Nikki and Tommy just kind of talking about most of the videos, which is very very watchable. I rewatched it a couple weeks ago. Still holds up pretty good. I don't recall Dr. Feelgood being in the movie, but it must have been if it's in the soundtrack. Another very cool video. Cool video, but very much has a late '80s feel to it, like from the opening shot. Oh, we're gonna crash into the tent. No. So this is like their most commercially successful song, I would say. What's it's the biggest hit off their biggest album. But I don't know if it's like I feel sometimes feel songs like "Girls" and "Shout Out the Devil" are more like aligned with the band. But it's another one too that even people who know nothing about Motley Crue, if it's on, they kind of start singing along. I love Nikki looking just so bored playing the bass, sitting on the hood. There's no subtlety in this video too, which is kind of funny. Like everything they talk about the song just happens in the video. Lots of fire. There's some good stories in that trash can right now. What bad customer service for that jug lord. He's gonna get a poor Yelp review. How come they don't catch on fire in this video? Like Nikki was catching on fire in Livewire. Like, did he find a way not to burn up? Mi'kmaq. It's a cool looking effect there. All sped up. All the mix. Mick turns into a demon. Which I assume is just his regular speaking voice. Oh, you're busted. This is not how knockoff Tony Montana is going to go down, is it? It jumps kind of fire. What was the point of the band playing under that tent? Like, have we established why that was necessary? Feel good, feel good. They call it the Nashville Fade, where they keep playing and the song just ends. And now we don't have a video to watch. This will be a complete listening experience. Gotta tell you, this doesn't sound that much different than the opening track. The Jack Daniels logo is kind of funky that they've been able to use that for like 20 years for the dirt. I mean, I think it looks cool and it fits them well, but who would have thought that design from 20 years ago was something they would still be marketing in 2019? This is kind of that same set of events we've had for a while. Didn't he ask to just give him the dirt in the other song? Maybe not. I feel like there's a lack of lyrical creativity here, Nikki. Ride with the devil to the burning sky. The song is not bad. I guess it's more. Maybe it's kind of Saints of Los Angeles, but I kind of get more of like Decade of Decadence, cutting room floor kind of vibe from it. Or what was the one Vince wasn't a part of it? Quarantine with all four of them doing their own songs, which has some cool stuff on it, but it's not really re-listenable. It's kind of fun to have to listen to. Well, we don't have a video breakdown, so let's talk about it. Do you think the band ever tours again? I know Nikki has and Tommy, who are the only ones doing media for this movie, have denied it like every chance they get. But and I don't really think they'll tour again, but they're gonna play shows for sure. And even in their little BS agreement that they signed, like I think they could still play live together. It's just on a touring, and I don't know how binding that stupid thing was. What a weird gimmick that was. Song only 3 minutes and 40 seconds, but it feels like it's been going on forever. Yay. It's going to be over in 9 seconds. But I think we have another one of these songs. I don't know. Somebody get Vince the Dirt already? Let's see what we got next. Crash and Burn. Okay. I don't think I've even listened to this one. So this would be like the first time listening experience. Yeah, this is more like that Saints of Los Angeles vibe. I see it on Twitter. Nicki's recording more new music with 6 a.m., which is kind of cool because I think everyone predicted that they were dead now that Motley was alive again. I don't know about what do you guys think about 6 a.m. I like that first album. It's cool, and after that, it's just not my thing. That first album's pretty awesome. I went back and listened to Brides of Destruction when Nicki was with them, and it doesn't age as well as I thought it was back when I first heard those songs. I thought, hey, that's cool. It's like new rock and roll from old rock combined. I thought it was some cool stuff back at the time. But it sounds really dated now, and I know it's kind of weird for me to say doing a video reviewing music from like 1982, but that music doesn't sound great. Oh no, this song tells us to get down in the dirt. We're not going to just give you the dirt anymore. These songs aren't bad, but they all sound like they're one kind of song that they've cut up into four different ones. Not a bad chorus. It's cool though on YouTube to see all the Motley stuff like pop back on because and I think it's probably expired by now, but the content creators know Motley's kind of fresh topic, so people covering songs on their instruments suddenly like top 10 Motley licks and all these songs in Motley style and 10 things you didn't know about Tommy Lee and that's all good stuff. I'm not trying to bag on those guys for creating something, but it's cool that we're in a moment of the band because I remember like a year ago and I wasn't listening to the band very much, probably about a year ago, but kind of going down a rabbit hole of their stuff, and it's like when they were out of fashion, they're like really badly out of fashion. But when they're in, there's an appetite for them that's kind of starving, and I think sometimes because there's such a stigma on their era and their music, and like I said earlier, they don't really fit the time right now so well. I think people don't want to admit they're kind of like everybody's dirty little secret, and then so when they come back up, everybody comes out of the woodwork. Like it's not an accident that they haven't really created a bunch of new music for 20 years, and they can still sell out arenas on these last couple of tours. Again, with this song, it's not bad parts, but just kind of feels repetitive. I wouldn't say this is the last one, but I think there's the Madonna cover is coming up, which I have not given that one a chance yet. I just haven't sat down and listened to it. Hearing these songs though, if this is kind of where they're at right now, I think we're okay without hearing new music. And I think these were mostly written by them. They weren't written as much with the help of the 6 a.m. guys, the way the Saints of Los Angeles album was, which I think helped. And I liked what was their final song, the Old Bad Things Must End. That was pretty cool. All right, what are we gonna close here with? Is it the Madonna one or is there another one in between? I just know the Madonna one is last. That's why I keep saying that. Oh, here we go. I mean, it's weird for people to think about, but there's something so right about Motley Crue covering Madonna. Who Madonna's also coming out with new music. I seen that the other day. This is not bad at all. I was making fun of someone else who was interested in the new Madonna music, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm trying to get people to go to Kiss with me. Like, I mean, we're all living back in the day these days. Yeah, I can dig it. I don't know if it's because of the weirdness of the cover, but I think I like this one better than all the other originals or recently made songs that we've heard on this video. I, I do want to see these songs in a live format, and I don't know if we're gonna get that, like I said, but this one especially, I think, would be weird to see Mick and doing his guitar thing to a Madonna song. Yeah, this will be a guilty pleasure of mine for a while. Did you ever do that with covers by obscure bands for really popular songs? You just like crank them when you're in people who don't know the cover you're playing, and you see the little wheels spinning in their head as they're trying to figure out if they know that song or not. Or they'll ask like, "Huh? How come that sounds different?" That is fun. I need a video for that. They really need to make a video of that. Maybe a collaboration with Madonna. Maybe she'd be down to do such a thing. I don't think so. And that is that. That's the playlist. That's the entirety of the Dirt soundtrack. Pretty fun soundtrack. Like I said, I don't really care for those originals as much, and I love those older songs, especially those Too Fast and Shout the Devil era of songs. All that is just really good, really fun stuff. And this was really fun to do. And I hope this comes out good in the edit because this was super, super fun to make. And I had a lot of fun just talking to myself and watching these videos with you guys. So we'll probably do this on the next film that I evaluate. And I think that film, if I'm not mistaken, because I've been working on this seemingly forever, it's going to be an evaluation or a personal connection to SLC Punk, which is a very important film to me. Completely different sort of genre and feel than all the Motley things. But after I do that first video, the next order of business will be to check out that soundtrack, which will be completely different. And I think it'll be finding a lot of obscure videos on YouTube. That's a fun soundtrack, but one that people have made a lot of YouTube playlists of with a lot of like canceled songs and blocked out songs. So just curating that playlist is going to be fun. And like I said, I left the playlist down low. That way you could follow along almost seamlessly with me. Mine didn't run with any ads, so maybe you want to find a device that you can watch it without ads, although using ad blockers is a very bad thing, and nobody should ever do it because content creators need to make their extra change. But that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, guys, that was fun. I'm tired. I want to go do something else. I really enjoyed that. I'll talk to you later.